This is what an average base looks like in Kenshi, and this is my base. Now Rome wasn't built in one day, nor was this base, so to understand how we got here we must start with this guy, Bobo. Bobo's journey started in a beautiful slave mine. You see, Bobo is an alcoholic, and one night he decided to get drunk, walk up to one of the most powerful faction leaders in Kenshi, and started beating his ass. So here we are. Now Bobo is planning to escape, not because the living conditions are terrible, to him nothing much has changed, but because he wants to make his dream come true. That dream being a city where alcoholics can roam free. So how do we escape? Well, to escape the biggest slave mine in Kenshi, you need two things: better stats and darkness. Right now Bobo's stats are terrible. Throughout his journey he will get better stats, but right now we need to raise 4 things: stealth, lockpicking, athletics and assassination. This one will be more useful in the future. Bobo's training started pretty badly. During a fight with the guard he lost his arm and he lost his conscience multiple times. But despite all of that, Bobo's stats still went up, so preparations for the escape were coming to an end. Now the second thing. Escaping the mine in daylight is basically impossible, so we need to wait for nighttime to finally start our plan. Go, 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 go! This guy is still after me, please! Dodge, 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 dodge. How is he still after me? He's going away, he's going away, he's going away. Yes! Yes! And with that, Bobo managed to become a free man. Now that we escaped the mines, we need to find a place to lay low and recover. And what other better place to do that than this outpost right here called... The good part is that this outpost is very close to us, so we can get there in time before Bobo succumbs to his wounds. But the bad part is that this outpost is in a dangerous place for someone like Bobo, the Fog Islands. Now this place isn't dangerous because the entire zone is covered in fog. What's inside the fog is what makes this place a living nightmare. Meet the Fogmen. Those guys are basically zombies, but the main problem is that they walk in large numbers, so if we get spotted once, Bobo's story is over. But thankfully we didn't get spotted. Now this outpost is not only good for us to lay low and get back on our feet, it is actually the perfect place to start working on the base. Because when you're making the biggest base in Kenshi, you don't just need materials, you also need people and money. Let's first start with recruiting. The first member to join our squad was one of the most famous NPCs in Kenshi. Pip is perfect for the squad, mainly because he doesn't know the concept of money, but he will prove to be a good sniper in the future. We then recruited Crumble Joe, Shrek, Infinite Ping Bang and Rock. Now for the money part. This little shop will be our money printer for the time being. Because this shop doesn't sell food or armor, they sell mechanical limbs. And in a universe where technology is priceless, those mechanical arms and legs go for a lot of credits. So if we can get our hands on them, we can make huge profits. But how do we do that? Remember when I told you assassination will be useful in the future? While Bobo was making bank, the rest of the squad was put to training. I then bought some supplies and gear, and with that we were ready to head out. Kenshi has a lot of good spots for base building, but we decided to go for the Great Desert. After a long walk, we finally arrived at our destination and we immediately got in a fight with some manhunters. Fortunately we beat their ass and we started looking for the right spot to build the base. After some time, we finally found the perfect spot to build the base, but right now we can only build small shacks. In order to make bigger and better structures, we need to do some research. Just put those books in the bench inventory and then spend them on research. This process is always easy at the beginning, but it will slowly but surely get so annoying it will make you hate the game. Surprisingly, everything was going well. We got more books for research, more materials for building and new recruits. But then I got a message. One thing you don't expect to find in a post-apocalyptic world is the IRS. So turns out the Great Desert is actually owned by United Cities, and because we decided to build on their land, we know how to pay a tax. Bobo doesn't have a problem with paying taxes, but what the taxman said about the base made him really mad. I'm not someone who believes in superstitions, but I do think the taxman was a bad omen, because after he left, everything started to go bad for us. Turns out it's actually really hard to make food in the desert, because in order to make food you need a farm, and the farm requires water. So now we only rely on food from shops and bars, but those guys don't sell food for cheap, so we will spend more than 1 million credits throughout our journey on food. In this game there are 4 different items that you can spend on research: books, ancient books, engineer research and AI core, each one getting more and more expensive and rare. Now we researched everything that required those books, so we needed the other 3 to complete our research. The first method that we used to get those items was to buy them from this robot. Like I said, those items aren't cheap, but the main problem is that after we buy them, the robot never restocks them, so we turned to method number 2, exploring. This was a pain in the ass, because like I mentioned, those items aren't common, so Bobo had to search the entire map for those items. Our recruiting process used to be very simple. We visited the local bars and hired new recruits. But after the taxman curse, those bars stopped spawning NPCs that we could recruit, so we had to search every bar in the game for new members. Despite having a horrible grind session, we did manage to get everything, and now we needed to build the largest base in Kenshi. Our outpost had a lot of changes throughout the story. We went from 2 small shacks to a small camp, we then expanded the camp, turning it into a base, and after we gathered enough building materials, we built the largest base in Kenshi that functions. You see, I actually built a bigger base than this. To give you an example, this is the size of my current base and this is what I made. But this game can't render that far, so sometimes the walls wouldn't pull. Now that the base was built, Bobo could finally enjoy a cold son of a b. This time Bobo refused to pay the tax, and of course the taxman didn't like that. So as the taxman went to get more troops, Bobo had an idea. Because we did a ton of research, we now have unlocked the most powerful weapon in Kenshi, the revolver turret, and Bobo decided to build a bunch of them. Now that the taxman was gone for good, Bobo decided to give Tengu a tax of his own. But Bobo doesn't want money, he wants a throne. But this isn't where Bobo's story ends, because after he won the battle, he decided to get drunk, walk up to one of the most powerful faction leaders in Kenshi and started beating his ass.